Show here at the Momentum '21 conference with CMN. I've got a super cool guest with me today. Why do I keep forgetting to take this off before we start? Seppe, I'm going to blame that on you.
Cool.
You didn't have my back. You weren't like Nick. You still got the thing on.
Yep, my bad.
Seppe, welcome to the Awaken Catholic Show.
Thank you for having me, Nick.
Full name is Seppe Kelly, and you might be thinking to yourself, that's a darn tootin' cool name. You'd be correct in thinking that, were you to have been thinking that. Seppe works, this is almost like a part 2 to our last episode. Seppe works with the Dominican Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist. Did I get that?
You got that.
Oh my gosh, I struggled so much in the last episode.
Yeah.
And he's on the production team for the Dominican Sisters, and so you know they're pumping out lots of cool stuff, and this dude is one of the guys behind all of that cool stuff.
Yep.
And we discovered as we met here today that we've got like a lot of like interconnected friendships that we...
It's weird.
You know, they say that like statistically, I guess, every person on the planet only has like 6 or 7 degrees of separation from each other.
Yeah.
You and I literally have like a degree of separation
There's like a bunch of different
through multiple
strands of it.
friendships.
Yeah. No, it's
so
awesome.
clearly we're supposed to be friends.
Oh, yeah.
And clearly...
Providential, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to talk about trusting God's providence, His will for your life, and sometimes it looks, you know, really easy to see, and sometimes it's like, Lord, what are you doing? And we're going to talk about
Most
that.
times, yeah.
We're going to talk about your life and how your life, you've seen that play out. And all of that stuff is coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Awaken Catholic Show, everyone. I am your host, Nick De La Torre, and today I love the topic. I love the topic, love the man. Only just met the man, but the man is quite lovable. Let me just say that. Before we get started, I got to tell you that all of this is thanks to our sponsors of today's episode, Select International Tours. Select International Tours, an amazing company filled to the brim with amazing people running the show. One of them has just walked up right now. Matt, do you want to just pop in and say hi real quick? This is Matt. I'm not even going to try to say your last name. Here.
Hi, real quick.
It's
Mazak. It's really easy.
Mazak?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not spelled easy.
No, it's not spelled easy.
Okay. Matt Mazak from Select International Tours, such a G. Super pumped to be friends with Matt and to be friends with Select International Tours. They are an amazing company and the sponsors of this episode and Awaken Catholic's presence here at the Momentum '21 conference with Catholic Marketing Network. We've got 2 pilgrimages with them this year. To learn more, visit selectinternationaltours.com/awaken. Alrighty then, moving on, Seppe Kelly. So I learned that you are the second of my friends to have basically developed a way cooler version of the name Joseph.
Second of your friends. Wow, okay. I would expect, I know a lot of Josephs with a lot of fun.
Really?
Different ways of saying Joseph.
I know only one other one. I mean, there's the obvious, less interesting ones like Joe, Joey.
Yeah.
And one of those mutual friends that we discovered today is Seth Schleter.
Seth Schleter.
Seth Schleter.
Yeah.
That dude.
Seth's awesome.
He's a dude.
Yeah. So Seppe's Italian. My mom's 100% Italian, so she would call me Giuseppe when I was younger. And my sister, who's 2 years older than me, couldn't say Giuseppe, so she'd say Seppe, and just kind of stuck.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan.
It's unique.
I think I want to know more people with cooler names. I think we've just fallen back on our laurels.
Well, I think it's happening, though.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, and I don't mean like the 70s, like, you know, calling your daughter Moon Girl. You know,
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah. I want cool stuff that's like BA and helps glorify the Lord.
I'm right there with you, man.
And Seppe does that for me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think Seppe, and I think that dude's going to be a saint.
Is
Is he virtuous? I don't know. But he's got a great name for a saint.
That's all. Yeah.
Reason enough.
It's a good start.
It's a great start.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had I loved hearing about your journey, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today because a lot of our lives are messy. You know, we have this obsession as a culture with like figure out what you want to study, but while you're in high school, and a lot of people even in high school already know what they want to study by the time they enter high school, and it's like, you know, most adults I know don't know what the crap they want to do with their lives.
Yep.
And the ones that, in large part, the ones that do know what they want to do with their lives and are doing that, hate their jobs or are depressed or whatever. Like, we shouldn't be putting this pressure on ourselves. And I feel like that's a lot of what I connect with in my story with this idea of trusting in God's will, and a lot of what I heard from you in your story.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that I found, especially among like kids my age, is people think that doing the Father's will is just like this. And let me get this straight. I am not good at it. I'm not great at it.
Okay, sure.
But doing the Father's will, they think it to be this some type of formula that they have to find.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually going to I'll be a junior in college, and I will have, if all goes well, I've been to 3 different colleges in 4 years.
Wow.
So I was at Hillsdale College my first year, Washtenaw Community College this past year during the pandemic, just worked online, as well as worked for Open Light Media with Sister John Dominic. And this past month, and we can talk more about it, but I discerned that the Lord's actually calling me to seminary for my diocese, for Diocese of Lansing. So I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So I just discerned that seminary is the next step in the fall. And man, just the way that the Lord has taught me to trust in Him and to come to know Him and come to love Him in a deeper way is just completely shifted in just a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of this obsession with like figuring out our plan and executing on that plan, student loans be damned, I think a lot of this comes from this indoctrination that is subtle, sort of, which is like we are the gods.
Yep. Yeah, it's
we
all in
are
our
in
hands.
control.
Yeah, well, that's one of the lies that I was dealing with like heavily when I was discerning and like, is the Lord calling me to seminary? Or I was about to go to the University of Michigan for the fall, and I was going to study economics, and I had my whole life figured out. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And then just in a moment, and like just like that, and this is how the Lord has spoken to me a lot. In a moment, the Lord just called me out of that, and it became quite clear this was not the path that He was leading me to, But the moment I was met with that, with a decision to be made, it was like, how can I do this? All my friends have been in college they're going to be in college for 4 straight years. They have everything figured out. I don't. Are you kidding me? How can this be? And then just in talking to a couple of my friends, they were like, dude, no, we do not.
Yeah.
We have nothing figured out.
Right.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And so just kind of breaking down that lie. But it was really, and to be honest, like it all began just like with the Eucharist. Going to Mass was where I really began to understand what doing the Father's will meant,
Because you were worshiping, and that is to manifest in our practice the reality that we are not God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just like, it's all about humility. I'm like one of the most prideful people I know, and it's like, it's all about humility.
You sound really proud about that.
Yeah,
Yes. I'm kidding.
What can I say?
No, but that's actually, it's such a profound idea. Like, why do we talk about worship being so important to us? Mm-hmm. It reminds us of who we are.
Yeah.
And that being that we are not God. If
Right.
we're worshiping God, He is God.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
It's a humility is all about a recognition of our place before God. That's really what it's about.
I love that.
And so yeah, this past year, just to kind of get into it a little bit, is this past year.
Wait, no, slow down. Back further.
Where?
Like, you told me that you started out as a janitor for the sisters?
Yeah, I'll get there. I was gonna.
Oh, that's in the last year?
Yeah, it was so.
That's a lot of story for one, set of 12 months there.
Okay, that's fair. It was before that.
Okay.
So I was raised by Dominican sisters. The Dominican Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I was basically
like
raised.
Your parents weren't involved, or?
Yeah, my parents they were like, no, you guys take it.
Left a basket on the convent doors.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, exactly.
Little different kind of power.
Okay.
No, so I was born in Ann Arbor, and I'm the youngest of 6 kids. And my mom, she's good friends with Sister John Dominic, who we just met.
Yep.
If you watched the video before it. And Sister John Dominic knew my mom before I was born. So I was born, and then after my mom left the hospital, the first place she actually went to bring me to was the mother house. So I went to the Dominican Sisters' mother house before I even went home.
Okay.
And then I went through K through 8. They went to their elementary and middle school. So I was taught by them through that, and then they were in my high school, and then I left for college. But basically I'd been taught by them, and so I'd been taught by their virtue program, taught education of virtue all those years, and I was talking with Kevin, and I was telling him, he was like, why do you think it is that kind of being taught by the sisters kind of shaped who you are now? And I'd say the biggest thing for me is that education in virtue. What it did was it, as G.K. Chesterton describes it, is the twitch upon a thread. It places that invisible hook in me that no matter how far I wander, it's like it can always bring me back. And my faith was very deeply rooted in the foundation set by the sisters.
That's awesome.
And so I had actually been working for Sister John Dominic since...
Who's actually walking by right now.
Sister, there she is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're still talking. Yeah. So I'd been working for her since I was probably in 7th grade, and I started out as a janitor. I started out working maintenance for her, and then it was this past year that we had this studio set up. So COVID hit, and I was actually planning on going. I was at Hillsdale College, and I was planning on going back to Hillsdale, but COVID hit, and then in an instant, the Lord called me out of Hillsdale. It's just how he does it. And so I was like, all right, I have no idea what this means. I have no idea why. So I decided to do a year online through through Washtenaw Community College, and I started working for Sister John Dominic. And that's when things started getting interesting, because the way that I work next to my brother, my blood brother. He's 6 years older than me. He's an editor for Open Light Media.
So you and your brother work together for the sisters in the production.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That is so cool.
It's fun.
Wow.
And so I wasn't working in the studio. I was working maintenance a year ago. And then Sister I started getting into doing like music production. And Sister was like, well, we need someone to make the music because, as I'm sure you're familiar, finding royalty-free music is an absolute pain. Yeah. And so Sister was like, well, why don't you just come up to the studio? So it's the American dream. I worked my way up into the studio.
From janitor.
That's
actually
from the
so
lowest
amazing.
of the low.
That is so great.
I'm in the studio now, and COVID hit, and Sister had hired all these guys in the studio right before COVID hit. And we could, because we are digital, right, we could work from home. And so the fact that, Sister is one of those people where she is so humble about it, and she will never admit it, but she just hears the Lord so clearly and just does his will so well. And so the way that these guys were brought in is maybe for another time, but it's just quite insane, the situation in which they were brought in. One guy knew another and just happened to, and that guy was like on the brink of like about to quit his job because he's just had it. And so she brings us all in, and I'm working with my brother, who I really haven't been able to because he's 6 years older than me. And so I'm working right next to him. And man, it was just like this past year and working with Sister up at Open Light Media, where I can do more of this education and virtue material, and actually begin to cultivate more intentionally and kind of, I call it a reversion, my year of reversion.
Wow.
Begin really intentionally cultivating those virtues and working up at the studio, where a year ago we had all these bishops and priests coming in and doing these interviews, and I was just sitting there, and I wasn't discerning at that point. I was like, yeah, I'm open to it, open to discerning, but I really wasn't.
Right.
And so she brings all these priests and bishops in, and so I just get to sit there and listen to them talk, and it was...
Just for you, huh?
Just for me.
Yeah.
No, but yeah. So that's really where my reversion and taking seriously of my vocation began. And so a year ago, July, I started going to daily mass. And this is the thing that the advice that I was given by my spiritual director that I would give to all young people thinking about discerning or discerning out there. Don't ask the question, Lord, what do you want from me?
Right.
The actual really pleading to the Lord should be, Lord, help me to fall more in love with you.
Oh, yes.
Because it's when we draw nearer to the face of Christ that he begins to, our will begins to conform to his. And it's so much more freeing than we think.
Yes. And that is so much more, such a more simple equation.
Yeah.
The more we love God, the more our hearts become like his, the more in tune we are with his will.
Yeah.
It is not that complicated.
No, it's not. And once you figure it out, it's just like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, I wasted all those years stressing about something that was like the Lord doesn't want you to be stressed about it.
Well, he doesn't want us
know?
to be stressed, period.
Yeah.
And so that's a really
Yeah.
easy way to avoid that.
Yeah.
Wow. And so talk to me about the periods of your life, which sounds like were almost generally until about a year and a half ago. What was it like in trying to navigate? Like, what am I good? Like, were you as a child passionate about becoming a janitor? Like, how did you? And I actually know somebody that really loves that work. It's slightly tongue in cheek, but at the same time, there is that. Like, people do feel like passionate about that way of serving and stuff. And so, I'm curious, like, in navigating, what am I going to do with my life? Like, what did that look like for you before you were turning that over to God and just pursuing Him?
Yeah. So I had junior year of high school, I took an econ class and I was like interested in it and I enjoyed it and I still greatly enjoy econ. But that was like that moment. I was like, this is like a good place to, a good field to earn money in. And, earning money is by no means bad, and getting a good job and, thinking like, oh, I want to be able to support a family. And so it was a very logical choice for me, I would say. And so when people like ask you what you want to do in college, you have to have a response. That's just there's a stigma around it, right? You're like, and so I'm like, oh, I want to do econ, and everyone's like, nice, like econ's good. And so I was going to a good college, and it's like, if you even have a remote openness to like what the Lord wants for you, like He's going to capitalize on that. Like if you, and so I had that. I was just like, Lord, I don't actually like exactly know, but like if you like very hesitantly, like if you like want me to do this, then okay, here you can do it. But it wasn't like a full thing, but the Lord took it and ran with it. And so I had planned on econ for 4 or 5 years of my life.
Okay.
And I would say my faith was not very vibrant in high school. I'd say it was very like two-faced and two-sided.
Okay.
Where I just like pretended to be better than I actually was. Pretended to know the Lord when I actually just was not.
Yeah.
When I didn't, and I really wasn't making an effort in my faith. And so it wasn't really until college that I began to take my relationship with the Lord more seriously. But yeah, it always been econ. It always been like that logical. I want to go into business. It's a respectable thing.
Yeah.
Which again is not a bad thing at all.
Right.
But that was just it was a very specific meeting. I had an econ advisory meeting for the University of Michigan. And just throughout the meeting, it was just like, just straight downhill. And I was like, oh, and I ended the meeting and I was just sitting there. It was a Zoom call. And I was just sitting there at my computer like, what? This cannot be it. Like, it's just like, I will not feel fulfilled in this,
Yes.
And it was just there was a deep desire to study God.
Yeah. So sitting there, I will not feel fulfilled by this. I think a lot of people just kind of go through the motion. Like, I'm supposed to have a job, so I guess I'll just pick something and study it. I guess I'll just not be terrible at my job and not make my boss angry so that I can keep feeding my family.
Yeah.
Like, these are not very inspiring ways to live your
Right.
life. These are fairly depressing if you really think about it. Like,
Yeah.
the idea that with as many hours of a given week as are taken up by our profession, for that to be something that we just kind of arbitrarily are like, hey, I'll do this thing that I don't hate, and maybe eventually you end up hating it. Like, we should be passionately pursuing the Lord, as you said, but what we do on a daily basis for the biggest chunk of our day, is that really something that we should not be passionate about?
Yeah. Or taking so seriously.
Right.
It's just something that we're going to passively like, okay, it is what it is. This is how it's going to be, and I just got to push it. And, for a period of time, that might be it.
Yeah.
But
So the biggest takeaway for me from this conversation is this idea of discernment. First and foremost, pursue the Lord, fall deeper and deeper in love with the Lord.
yeah,
If
that's
so
your
huge.
only thing, you're good.
Yeah.
Like,
It's really beautiful, and He will not disappoint.
yeah,
People can disappoint and likely will. He will not disappoint. He is our destiny. He's the source of our lives. He's the destiny of our lives. Like, that's such a different type of language than, I'll go to work.
yeah, yeah. And if I could say one more thing,
Please
Nick,
do.
Like, A big struggle for mine is like fear of failure. I have a big fear of failure, and especially a fear of disappointing others. And oftentimes that would actually interfere with what I actually felt the Lord calling me to. And so another thing I would say is you're going to, and I'm sure you've actually experienced the same thing just in establishing Awaken Catholic. It's like people will be disappointed.
What are you telling me?
Nothing.
Like, looking at you, Nick, I just
Start
know
time-
you've
start
failed.
time up.
No, finish your point. Finish
but
your
like,
point. Sorry.
Like you will disappoint people. Like
Yeah.
people will be disappointed or upset and not happy with the work you're doing, and you'll be persecuted. And
Yeah.
but the Lord actually says very specifically, it's like, yeah, expect persecution. And it's so like expect to disappoint people, but it's like you will, as long as you believe, or if as long as you are drawing near to the Lord and desiring to do His will, it's like really in the long run nothing matters. But that's easier said than done, and
Yeah.
I'm still very bad at that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, like the level of investment we make internally into what other people think is distorted.
Yep.
It should not be that.
Exactly.
We should only care about what God thinks.
Yeah. And again,
Amen.
easier said than done.
Oh, I mean, that's pretty easy for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Clearly.
I don't know what your problem is.
Look at you, Awaken Catholic. Jeez.
All the lights and cameras. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care what people think.
Please. I'm on
That's awesome.
camera.
Yeah. Seppe, thank you so much for this conversation and being vulnerable, talking about some of your journey, and now you're entering into a period of discernment about priesthood.
Yeah.
And that's about a month and a half away. Is that what you said?
Yep. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
So please pray for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be
Viewers,
praying for you as
listeners,
well.
please pray for Seppe and his
Thank you.
discernment. So you'll be leaving your role in the production team for the
Yes.
One Light.
Yeah. For Open Light. Yeah.
Open Light. Dang it.
Yeah.
Okay. I
You're
can't
doing
even get
great.
the
Hey,
easy
you're doing
version of your name right. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Seppe,
It's
thanks
been
for
a
being
pleasure.
here. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode has been sponsored by Select International Tours. To learn more and maybe even find out more about the trips we're taking with them this year, visit selectinternationaltours.com/awaken. Before you go, I need you to know, Jesus loves you.